Oh, this is interesting. If you see the very first play, we're going to go into a four-man front. We mixed in three-man and four-man fronts. A lot of it, I think, based on the formation or the personnel, rather. But you'll see in this instance, we're going to hide which one we're going to get in with the two defensive tackles. One of them lined up, Gallimore lined up right on the nose, and the other behind him. And kind of not to the last minute, you see they're going to shift over, and now they get into a four-man front right before the snap, which I thought was interesting. Those kind of things make a big difference when the defense or when the offense isn't sure what you're going to do, and I like seeing a lot of that. Now this is a just a zone read, and I don't know why the quarterback did not pull the ball because we have Man here, Man and Perkins, the two defensive ends. Barnes and Houghton. Houghton started, not Turner Yell, but Barnes comes up and with the corner dropping, and that's a way they can get the corner or the safety involved more in the run by dropping the corner. And they call this like an inverted sky or cloud, or I can't remember the terminology. Anyway, the corner drops and the safety comes in. You give up some short routes that way, but it allows you to get the safety in, which makes it difficult to run against, and you can't really tell before the snap when they're going to do that. So teams do that a lot. But anyway, so that was why Barnes is coming up, and because he actually hands off the ball instead of keeping it, you can see there Man gets inside the block so that Barnes can clean up on the outside, and that's how he's able to tackle the ball carrier, and only getting about a yard. Okay, this is only the second play, and already I'm really excited. Turner Yell comes in, and this is obviously a package, the personnel package that I guess this was designed for. I don't remember seeing. I haven't, really broken down any of the defense, much of the defense at all. But I don't remember seeing this before. It's possible we did, and I just don't know it. But this is what I really would love us to do. And Turner Yell, I think, is a great option back here. This is basically the Iowa State defense here. You have the three-man front, and the jackbacker here, Mark Jackson, who is actually going to miss the tackle, is going to get juked. But Bookie and Barnes back here playing the two safeties, or I guess he's kind of a nickel, but he's also playing basically a safety role. But Turner Yell's playing this robber technique right in the middle of the field, so you have the three safety look. And if you've watched the previous stuff I've talked about it, that robber, this is the thing that's the big thing in college football now. I say the big thing. It's the newest thing that is really giving offensive coordinators, even Riley, haven't really figured out a way to stop that. But with that third safety back deep in the middle, and then reacting to the run, he can come up, be aggressive, look for any RPOs. He can get in to try and pick off any RPOs. If there's not, he's going to come in to run support, and it goes to the outside. He's very, very difficult to block because he'll come to the outside, make the tackle. If the quarterback on some kind of a read, zone read, whatever, he's got the quarterback who's going to be a little late coming in. And he's just very, very difficult to block, especially with the offensive lineman or anything like that. So he's kind of an all-purpose guy, and Turner Yell is a really good person to do that with. This is a spread formation. They're going to run a screen, which shouldn't work anyway because they just have two blockers here. All the other linemen faint. And just for the quick pass, and Mark Jackson is just going to be unblocked right here at the point of attack. So we have a big numbers advantage here, so I don't know what the purpose is in throwing this. But you see here comes Turner Yell aggressively coming to the outside, and he's going to help make the tackle. Mark Jackson is he's got to get his weight under control and not let himself be juked that badly to make the tackle. But anyway, it's nice seeing that. I thought that was very an interesting look. So this is what I love about this, breaking it down, because have you ever seen anywhere anyone talking about oh yeah, OU is now running a version of Iowa State's defense? No, I haven't heard that anywhere. But yet here we are. Here's Turner Yell. Here's the two safeties. They're not split out in like a cover two or one, one deep, one coming up. And no, we have the Turner Yell in the center of the field playing the robber technique. In fact, you can see the run. He's doing what's called a flat, like a flat-footed read. In other words, he's not dropping back like the other Barnes is. Barnes is dropping back. He's not. He's flat-footed, meaning he's reading run, and he's going to run as fast as he can. See, he has the quarterback. Now, I would like him to not. He should be probably on a better course there because he has the quarterback on any reads. He doesn't end up needing to make the tackle at all. You can see there's Bookie there kind of playing the nickel. The play before, we're in a three-man front here. We're in a three-man front play before, which I didn't show here. But we rushed Curtis Bolton. I'm recording this as I'm watching it, so I don't know, but it would be really nice. It would make a lot of sense if they had a lot more of Bolton blitzing, being the third blitzer. The big difference between Iowa State's defense and what we're running is Mark Jackson here is playing the outside linebacker. Essentially, you have the two inside backers. He's playing the outside backer, whereas Iowa State would have their dime back, and you also think Texas kind of does something similar. I would like to see Ryan Jones come in for this when we run this. Ryan Jones has done well. Mark Jackson, he's just not quite as versatile, I don't think. And again, they may have a really good reason for it. He definitely knows the team better than I do, but it just kind of seems to make sense that Ryan Jones would be, if it was Iowa State, Ryan Jones would be playing this spot right here. And he would be a lot more versatile in covering receivers and things like that, and swarming to the ball. If Mark Jackson is not going to be as reliable making tackles, I'm not sure why you have him out there. Now, again, he's going to allow him to juke inside, but he gets an arm around him and makes a good tackle there. So this might be part of the reason. Maybe he's just a better tackler, I don't know. But it'll be interesting to kind of watch that, the evolution of that going forward. Now, this is different. Third and long. We are actually going to, I think this is pretty cool actually. We're going to have Trey Brown and Trey Norwood and Motley all playing corner, and Bookie, basically all of them playing corner. Bookie is here outside the flanker, whatever you want to call him. And Trey Brown is here on the receiver. Bookie actually started over here, but they motioned the man over there. So they are man on man. Here's Trey Norwood, Motley, not in their normal position. So they are, looks like they are given a specific person. Normally, at the man coverage, if they had someone, I say normally, many times, if you motion someone over, then the corner will take the outside guy because you're numbering the receivers outside 1, 2, 3. That's typically how it's done. The fact that Bookie followed them all the way over makes me think that they are specifically lining up over a specific receiver, which I thought was very interesting. Maybe to put certain match certain talents to certain types of receivers. I don't know. There's a better way to put that, but anyway, Gallimore and Mann are the only two defensive linemen. Mark Jackson is blitzing, and we're actually going to blitz Bolton as well. And the receiver is just going deep. Trey Norwood is actually going to get beat pretty badly here. He's actually going to trip. So we kind of fortunate there that the quarterback wasn't able to complete a pass. Now, if he stops, he has a first down here if he can throw the ball. But we're putting pressure on him. Bolton, they're going to pick up the holding penalty, and it's actually a good call because he's actually going to trip over the other offensive lineman's back foot right there. He's going to trip over him. So it wasn't his blocker that he was tripping over, and he's holding on a little bit, but not any more than you'd see pretty much on any other play. I'm really surprised they didn't call that, especially as nitpicky as they were being, but whatever. Bolton does a good job of getting pressure, and had he not gotten tripped, really might have gotten the sack, probably would have. As it is, forced the quarterback to go up in the pocket, and we end up getting the sack anyway.
This is another thing that's been missing, I think. This play, again, they are in the personnel package that puts us. Turner Yale comes in and playing out Robert technique, the three-man line. The purpose of this route combination, you're going to have a double slant on this side and what's called the stick route on the field side. This is to beat zone coverage. This side is to beat man coverage. Because the way we come at the receiver here, it's not clear whether we are going to be running man or zone. In fact, it really looks like we're running man. And because of that, you'll notice the quarterback is looking to the man side. But we're going to drop back the linebacker here, and we're playing zone coverage. So that double slant isn't going to work. Now, you have the out route is going to be open down here because it's a zone coverage. But because it's not clear pre-snap what we're going to do, forces him to look at the wrong side, and he ends up having to just kind of throw the ball away, kind of makes a dangerous pass. But that's something that's been missing when offenses know time in and time out before the snap what kind of coverage we're going to be in.
Here's another third down. Again, we have the three corners because here's Trey Norwood. He's actually playing in the middle, so I guess he has one of the running backs. And the Barnes, Robert Barnes, when Houghton is in, they've consistently, at least up to this point, the second quarter, consistently had Barnes playing aggressively to the run. And if he's on the short side of the field, the corner doesn't bail. But if he's on the wide side of the field, Barnes will come up aggressively, and the corner will bail. And that's been pretty consistent. Houghton kind of goes to the deep middle. He's going to miss an interception on here. And we're actually going to, again, blitz Bolton, which I think we're going to see a lot more of. And both Bolton and Mann here, they're going to run a twist or a stunt, and both of them are actually going to get pressure. So only rushing 4, 2 blockers, and we get pressure, forces him to throw deep, and there's Houghton way back there and just flat out misses it. One of the things about Iowa State is that they're not always in that robber or the 3-4. They actually line up in a 4-man line and cover 2 look versus certain formations and certain personnel groupings. I don't know what they are necessarily, what their rules are, or anything like that. But versus most of the personnel packages that TCU has, we are in a four-man line, and Houghton comes in instead of Yell, and we have a cover two look. Although Houghton is more in the middle instead of dropping back, he and Barnes both are actually going to aggressively come into the run, and both of the corners are bailing. Now they have a new quarterback, and they have a smart play call because of the way our defense is been running. They're going to do a play action and then just like an out route with the receiver, knowing that the corners are going to be bailing onto Barnes' side, and that's what happened. Barnes comes up, the corner bails, and both corners are bailing actually, even though it's the short side. So that allows a really easy pitch and catch on the outside. One adjustment looks like they may have made the very next play. The safeties are still, both of them are look like they're playing pretty aggressively. Motley is going to be bailing, but you have a press corner over here to prevent that. So that's kind of an adjustment there. He's going to run. Well, it's going to be an RPO with a screen here, but showing the great instincts as a nickel that Bookie has. He recognizes the movement there between the two. Let's get this out of the way so you can say, oh, I guess it's not going to let me get it. If you see the movement between the two receivers, he recognizes that, looks over, sees that he's going to pass the ball, and makes a play on it. Of course, we all know if he catches that, he's gone. But also, if he doesn't stop the pass from being able to get to the receiver, it's a touchdown, because here's the only other guy. He can block him. Of course, now he can't because he's going for the interception, but it's a very dangerous, risky play to make, but that's kind of the instinct that Bookie has, and I think we'll see a lot more of that throughout his career.
Now, the very next play they run is their touchdown, the screen pass. There's several things I want to point out about this. One, again, we put Turner Yell in, and we're going to the three-man line. But instead of running the kind of three safety look, we're just in a two safety shell, looks like. Again, we're going to blitz Bolton off the edge and then play like a zone behind it. Interesting thing is that Dylan, I'm not even going to try to say his name, Valatomino or what, I can't say it. I'm just going to butcher it. So, but you know who I'm talking about. He's playing defensive end instead of one of our 3-4 defensive ends, and so I think that's something we've heard that needs to be done, needs to be changed to get more beef on the field if we're going to run the three-man line. And also Ryan Jones is in there instead of Mark Jackson, which I thought was interesting because I earlier said that's kind of what Iowa State would do. So it was interesting seeing him in there, and it was 2nd and 10. But the reason they was able to score really was well, it was a perfect play call against the blitz here, because we're going to run zone blitz, blitzing Bolton, and then Ryan Jones is going to drop back. He's going to first initially make sure it's not a run, but then he's going to drop back. The real problem here that I can see is that Dylan, he needs to recognize that he's gotten through that double team too easily. And you see, they're supposed to recognize, sniff out the screen, stop, and then go back. And he doesn't. He keeps going forward. He needs to recognize that early so he can at least go in and force him to kind of change his positioning. Now, I don't know if that would keep him from, because he's so fast, I don't know if that would have kept him from scoring. But another thing I want to point out is that he does catch it right at the line. It would be impossible to tell, even replay, if he was past the line or not, the ball past the line. Part of his body is behind it. Could be wrong, but I think it's like the quarterback passing behind the line of scrimmage rule, in that if any part of your body is behind the line, you are considered behind the line. So in other words, that's why it would not be a penalty for ineligible receivers downfield. The other thing which several people have pointed out is Turner Yell coming out in a backside pursuit. Takes a really good angle. He's just so fast. He tries to get his shoelace, but just isn't quite able to. This is their other touchdown, the long pass, and I really don't mind it. Obviously, Motley got beat, but he's playing pretty tight, close to the line. I don't really mind it as much because I like the fact that we're realizing that they have not shown a threat of passing, that they were able to do that. And so what I've seen over this half is more and more the safeties, they are being more aggressive, and they're closer to the line, and they are not worried about the deep threat at all. They are watching the run, and being really aggressive, and forcing us, saying, "Hey, if you don't want us to play this way, you're going to have to show us you can get the ball deep, because we don't think you can, especially with your backup quarterback in." But he does. He just goes deep. Of course, Barnes, like I said, Barnes has been playing aggressively to the run, and he's bailing some, but he's still just going to get beat deep. And without safety help, see, there's the safety way back there. So there's no safety help at all. It's one-on-one. And yes, he gets beat. I don't know if Trey Brown would have gotten beat. Probably not. And no, I don't know why Brown wasn't playing there, why Motley is there. And I can't tell if Brown is on the other side or if Trey Norwood is. I can't really tell. Can't get a good enough shot. So I don't know. But, if you're going to give up one touchdown before you're going to change or going to take advantage, that's the kind of thing that we haven't seen the last several years, where it's like, you have an advantage, why are you not taking advantage of it? With a game plan, we know they can't pass the ball, so why do we have two safeties back? Why are we not playing more aggressively? Things like that. So I actually kind of don't mind that, and like seeing some of that aggressiveness and kind of playing chicken with the offense.
Now this is strange. I'm not exactly sure what is going on here, but some interesting changes. Motley's still in, Trey Brown's still not, which I find interesting. But this time we're in the 4-4-2 look, and Houghton, and I guess this is Barnes. It's kind of hard for me to tell. But this time Barnes is playing deep, and Houghton, instead of playing like the 2 look, he's playing the robber, like the Iowa State type. And you'll see him come pretty aggressively towards the run right here. He sees the run, so he's going to come and help make the tackle there, making sure they only get 5 yards and they're not going to be able to make a big play out of it. The other thing that's kind of interesting, and by the way, Motley is dropping back deep, so you kind of have 2 deep guys there, and then I don't know what Boogie's doing, if he's playing the outside, but I don't know if he's supposed to be playing the flat or if he's man-to-man. I'm not sure. But what's really interesting to me is that, look at Trey Norwood. Once he sees this run, he comes very aggressively in. So it doesn't look like a corner blitz, because he doesn't come right at the snap. He waits until he sees run action, then he comes in. So I'm not sure what that's all about. I think that's very interesting. It'd be something to kind of look, to kind of keep an eye on. The biggest problem here is Neville is going to get pushed way backwards. You lose momentum, that kind of starts happening, but he can't be pushed backwards like that. Especially Gallimore, that's his thing. He needs to be able to get pushed, or at least get a stalemate. On this third and short, they're actually going to run some of the similar type of, it's an unbalanced formation, something similar to what Texas gave us trouble with, and actually similar to how we got a couple of our third downs in this game. You have there's no one on the short side of the field. You have 4 receivers, a tight end, and then 3 receivers here on the long side of the field, as well as the running back, and they're going to run an option. And see, we have no safeties. We're cover 0 here, and yet still just aren't able to get anyone there to make the stop. It's very, very difficult. And now I have to point out Gallimore after that last play. Gallimore definitely comes in and gets push and makes his presence known. So good on him. But still just not able to prevent the quarterback from getting a pretty sizable gain.
I think it's interesting to note that after that long touchdown, Barnes is no longer the one coming and being aggressive. It's now Houghton, so they kind of switch roles. So I think that's interesting. Presumably, the thinking is that they're catching on. So kind of flip it around and then see what happens. It'll be interesting to see what they do the rest of the game. This is just a good job by Perkins, they're going to run a stunt, and he's going to run in the inside gap there. The linemen don't do a good job picking it up, and he's able to just get an arm around the running back, and he holds on to his ankle enough to be able to make the tackle at no gain. I got to point out this play by Ronnie Perkins. They're going to pull the guard and tackle similar to the way we do. But look at Ronnie. He sees that, and then right now he says, "Uh-oh, I need to get and squeeze in this hole right here, right there with his shoulder, and he's going to blow up both of the blockers there, and that prevents him. See, if the first blocker, if he has to block him inside out, allowing the defensive end to have outside leverage, then the blocker and the running back are supposed to go inside in this gap here. But by creating a log jam, it prevents that from happening. So he's having to come to the outside where we already have outside leverage, and then Curtis Bolton is there as well. And they're able to make the play. So really good play, not something you really expect by a true freshman. It looks like we're playing a cover 4. Again, both safeties are pretty aggressive towards the run. As soon as they see run, they're going to come up. The defensive line does a good job of not allowing themselves to be pushed back. But here's Curtis Bolton. This should be a no gain, and this is a big problem. You hear Rufus Alexander, Teddy Lehman talk about it, and I've talked about it for years. That's just been really frustrating. We've gotten a little better at it, but under Kish, this has been a recurring theme from Evans and Alexander, especially. We saw it's just been from the inside linebackers. We've seen it time and time again. Here's Bolton. He does a good job, and he has a full head of steam. But here's the difference between the two. Right now, he stops, and he's preparing to be hit, and he's kind of catching the tackle, whereas he's lowering his head and making the attack. So look at he's straight up. And he's leaning forward. There's absolutely no way you're going to win that battle. Instead, he's just catching him and is going to be pushed backwards. And what should have been a no gain ends up being a 6-yard gain. And those yards add up quickly. You know, the thing you're taught when you're taught to tackle is to drive through the tackle, keep your feet turning, and that's something we just don't see the linebackers do. In that last one, where Bolton just stopped his feet and let himself get hit. That's not good. Of course, here can't really fault Trey Norwood, he's a corner. I mean, a corner isn't supposed to be able to take on a running back like that. That's that stout. I mean, uh, that's just going to happen. I mean, there's just no way you're going to be able to stop that. But you got to love Barnes not being afraid to come up and make the tackle, and that's how you make that tackle. He doesn't get anything. You'd like to see him still turn his feet. He kind of still stops his feet as he makes the hit. But still, you like that aggressiveness and not being afraid to come up and make a hit.
At this point, it's 4:25 left in the third quarter, and they are still, every single time, Barnes is now dropping back, and Houghton is now playing aggressively, or at least spying the run, playing flat-footed. So they have indeed switched, and that's been that case up to this point, ever since that long pass. This they're going to do the same thing as they did before, just on Houghton's side. He's just going to go deep on Trey Brown this time. And Trey Brown looks like he has good coverage, but he's just able to hang on to the ball, and just the ball never touches the ground, which is pretty insane, but good on him, I guess. I don't particularly like having Houghton stay in there and getting into the box instead of Barnes, because Barnes can come in and hit, and Houghton really doesn't. Here's Houghton, and here's Bolton again, and here's another good example of he's I don't know, sticking his head into, which is not good, but his feet are planted, but that's just not, you got to go through it. I mean, he's not even moving his feet. He's still, even though he's leaning forward, he's still just catching the tackle instead of hitting him the same way that the running back's trying to hit him. And then Houghton looks like he's just kind of very hesitant in his tackle, instead of running in like a missile. And man, it's just so frustrating to watch. We saw Barnes earlier run in and take on the running back full speed, and we're just not going to get that with Houghton. I thought this was interesting. 3rd and 10, we have the 3-down lineman, and Broyles is in instead of Motley, and then Trey Norwood and Trey Brown and the 2 safeties. But I'm just going to do it full speed here. You'll see Trey Norwood is going to shift back into the middle. It's like a deep safety. Barnes comes up and then drops back, and I guess like a 3 deep. I'm not exactly sure what they were doing, but it worked. It confused them. Got to show this Bolton sack on 3rd and 5. Does such a great job. Oh man, I mean, he's just a straight rush, and he just goes right around him and gets him. Man, he's lucky that wasn't a fumble. Just a great play by Bolton. Definitely, I think we're going to see him rushing. This is the interception that sealed the game. It's 3rd and 10, and you can see Norwood is back again. The 3rd safety back deep, so you're going to have 3 deep defenders, and then Motley, and then the 2 linebackers, the nickel, and then the other corner on the other side, Trey Brown. They're all going to play the 5 underneath zones. What's basically a trap corner, meaning that Norwood is going to, he's not going to follow the receiver. He's going to break off. Let me get rid of this so you can see. He's going to break it off and look for the interception basically on any underneath route in this area. So he's going to come back to the other receiver, the inside receiver, and come underneath and make the interception. That kind of thing, that's how you're going to get interceptions. You're going to get turnovers, takeaways, whatever you want to call them. You got to have robbers robbing routes, trap corners, things like that. So the offense doesn't know what coverage you're going to be in. You can kind of bait the quarterback to throw and just make the quarterback's job so much harder instead of allowing them to get in rhythm, be comfortable, know where they need to go, and play safe because you're just not going to get any takeaways like that.